Hi y'all, my name is Tracy. This is the 3-Wick Thesis candle channel, and today I have for you a special lit review slash melt review episode based on Circa 1955's Halloween collection. Now, all of these candles are ones I bought during Nicole's Halfway to Halloween 2-day sale. That was what, end of spring, early summer. And I have selected my favorite ones that I'm going to share with you and tell you more about how they did in terms of burn quality, authenticity, show you some burn footage, and give you some idea on which ones of the ones I hauled I think you should pick up. I'm going to go ahead and link the original unboxing and cold sniff impressions video below. I recommend checking that out if you want a more thorough, in-depth understanding of how these smell on cold and also get insight into the full purchase that I did. She did say that there were the Haunted Mansion pillar candles. It was a set of 4. Those are not going to be available this Halloween, so that's not going to be coming back. And then she also said that they are doing a reformulation of Spiral Hill. So I'm not going to talk much about this one at all just because it will change. She's trying to differentiate it from Circa Hollow, which is another fragrance she does. So that one's not going to be the same during the Halloween release that happens on the 13th. Also, just to clarify, I paid for all of these candles with my own money. None of this was given to me or gifted to me in PR. I also do not have any sort of discount code to share with you, and I do not make any money off of you purchasing from Circa 1955. I share this with you because I really like Nicole and her candle concierge, Megan. They are both amazing customer service people. They care about candles and home fragrance, and they treat us like we are gifts. And I think we are, and so I like how that feels. Okay, let me start. I have different types of wax. I have some travel size, I have 3 wicks, I have a single wick, and I have some wax melts. I'm going to start with the travel size candles that I purchased, and I'm going to give you the one that I really like, but not my #1 recommendation out of the ones I purchased, and this one is the Mainstreet Pumpkin Spice Latte. This is very authentic. This smells to me how a pumpkin spice latte candle should. You get some bitterness from the espresso note that's in here. It is present. I feel like far too often latte fragrances lose that espresso note and really just become a milk candle. You do get creaminess in here. You do get a sense of a lactonic note. However, it is well balanced with both the bitter espresso note and the pumpkin spice vibes that are in there. So I feel like I get like some cinnamon, maybe some ginger and nutmeg in there as well. Beautifully done, well balanced. In terms of strength and throw, now this is a little tiny candle and I only burn these in my bathroom. I usually have the door shut while I'm testing so that there's a chance for it to really be contained. I would say this was medium strength under those conditions and it filled the space. So it had good throw. I wouldn't say it's a powerhouse, but it was definitely strong, especially given its size. I did have a wick issue with this one. I'm going to go ahead and just show you what ended up happening. So the wick head, after the first burn, had gotten kind of long, and I went to trim it, and it actually fell over onto itself, and it fell into the wax pool. You can actually see it's over here. It floated over to the side, and it stuck to the wall. When I relit it, I think what happened was the wick was too short because it broke off below where I was trimming it, and then it just didn't come back. It ended up tunneling pretty bad. So what I will probably do with this one as I continue to burn it is put it under a lamp to help balance it back out, try to relight it and hope that the wick sustains itself. I don't usually have wick issues, but I will say that this is the thin curly wicks, and I know Kringle candles sometimes suffer from the same issue. It is a thing. I had the same issue with Caramel Sundays wicks. They get too thin, they can't hold the weight of the wax, and then they fall over and then they break where they're fresh. So not a common pattern, but just something I want to raise your awareness about. And if that happens, I usually lamp it to try to solve the problem. I will be ordering this come August 13th, along with another coffee one. She has the Star Wars Land coffee one I'm going to order in a 3-wick because I really like this one. The #1 of the travel tins that I recommend is the Oogie's Green Apple Lemonade. I love this one so much that I put on my Oogie t-shirt today to film this. This one is amazing, and I'm not always an apple fan, so y'all know if it's an apple candle that I like, it's really good. It reminds me a lot of Bath & Body Works Candy Apple Cauldron. And the similarity that I see is the tartness and the brightness of the green apple that's in here. Where they are different, and I think this is a good thing, is that the Candy Apple Cauldron tends to read a little bit perfumey to me, and it's also just so high on the register that I feel like I get like a tingy feeling in my nose that's kind of like it's too sharp. This one is much more edible, drinkable punch, and I do actually feel like I get like a punch note, like a puckery sour note that's probably coming from the lemonade aspect of this one. It's very well balanced with like the tart, juicy apple and the very bright, citrusy, tart, sour lemon that's in here. I really, really like this one. The Hubs really, really likes this one. This one, definitely at least one 3-wick is going in my cart August 13th. Now, I did have one other of the sample tins, and that was in the Halloween tree fragrance. And I couldn't smell this one. I did burn it down to the end. I did close it in my bathroom, just as I did the other two. By the way, this one is very strong, even given its size. Excellent throw. So this one was very strong. This one was medium. And this one was very light, very low. I could really only smell it if I stood over it and kind of did one of these. I am on the fence about Halloween tree. I know that people who have bought this in previous years really love it. And I know that there's been lots of positive conversation out there around it. So it makes me want to buy this in a 3-wick and give it a try, because I'm wondering if it isn't the sample vessel that is the problem and not the actual fragrance. Next, I want to talk about some wax melts that I have that I did fire up and try. Now, I did not try, what's the Villain's Grove? I just didn't get around to melting that one. It is very dark, very woody, and very like mysterious Halloween, and just hasn't felt like that vibe with how hot it is this summer. So I actually haven't tried that one yet, but I did try both Spellbound and Spiral Hill. And of these two, I recommend Spellbound. This is a gorgeous fragrance. Of all of the candles I have here, this is my favorite. And I did buy this in 3-wick format. I have that here for you, so I'll be talking about this one in just a second. Now, in wax melt form, I went ahead and put this one in my Himalayan salt warmer from Scentsy. That thing is a beast, and basically, if a wax melt is going to have any scent or throw, that thing will make it come to life. My Remy Scentsy one doesn't seem to have that same power. The Pooh Bear Element Base heater warmer definitely doesn't have that kind of power. So I put this in the high-powered one, and it did throw. It did have good strength for, I would say, half a day to a day. I usually like my wax melts to last a little bit longer, but with vendor wax and small business, it's pretty standard to have a day out of wax cubes. And I did only use 2. I may have been able to bump that up to 3 and make it a little bit stronger, but then there's also always conversations around adding too many cubes, then makes it more difficult for the scent to throw. So I just went with 2. It has its presence, but I would have liked it to be stronger in the wax melt form. However, the candle was actually very strong, so I will just be purchasing the candle format going forward. And this, absolutely gorgeous at the 3rd burn. So this one, which is common with soy wax candles, did take 2 whole burns that felt unscented. It was the 3rd burn that it bloomed and really came to life. So first burn, I was like, oh no, this is not good. Second burn, I was like, uh-oh, no scent. 3rd burn, it was like, it just bloomed and it was really strong. This is the strongest of the 3-wicks that I'm going to share. It is a beautiful, berry, musky, warm, cozy fragrance. It kind of reminds me of what like the Good Witch would wear in terms of like body care products. And I know that Nicole said she was thinking about taking this out of the Halloween collection. However, lots of people have requested it. I told her it's my favorite. I'm definitely glad you kept it around. It reminds me of 2 candles from Goose Creek. One is the Scooby-Doo Blackberry one that had like a musk note in it this past Valentine's Day. And the other one is a Wizard of Oz candle that had a blackberry note in it. And like, I think it was vanilla and maybe a cashmere. It reminds me of those 2 candles, and it is phenomenal once it got going. I will say that it took to this point to start really throwing fragrance. Compare that to Pumpkin Beignet, which threw at first burn, and there's the distinction there. So if you don't mind having to get a little bit into it, now this is not caramel sundae halfway gone, but it is third burn until you start to get throw, and at least that was my experience with this one. And I did have these for a couple months and didn't touch them, so it's not a curing issue. It's just, I think, maybe the way the soy wax formula with these particular fragrance oils panned out. So I highly recommend this, even though it took 3 burns to bloom, but I would prefer it in the 3-wick over the wax melts because I think this performed better. So recommend Spellbound. Beautiful if you like edible inedible mix, and if you like blackberry with stuff that feels a little bit like body care. As long as I pulled this one out, I might as well talk about it. Pumpkin Beignets. Now this one threw immediately, had good strength. I would put this at a medium leaning towards high strength, and it did fill the space. This reminds me a lot of Bath & Body Works Pumpkin Donut Shop. Now the difference is the bready note in this makes sense because beignets tend to be a little bit more bready. It tastes like fried bread to me, and it hit on that same vibe that was in the Pumpkin Donut Shop from Bath & Body Works. I expected more donut scent in that one. This one I feel like is a little bit more donut-y, but still has that same warm bready note. And then you have a delicious pumpkin spice vibe going on, and you have a little bit of sweetness. My only complaint about this candle is that I think you could turn up the powdered sugar note in here and make this a little bit sweeter to help kind of counteract the spice with the kind of bready note in here. But this is still a beautiful edible fragrance, and I would recommend you picking it up if you like that sort of candle, a gourmandy but not too sweet candle. So I think this contrasts nicely with the one that is more gourmandy, which is the candy corn cupcake. So I would say if you want like an entry-level gourmand that's not too cloyingly sweet, pick up the Pumpkin Beignet. If you are looking for something that's very sweet and pumpkin-y, pick up the candy corn cupcake. And even then, this one is really more vanilla sweet. There's not that pumpkin spice in there like there is with this one. This is just a lots of vanilla and honey and just kind of milky and creamy and sweet. Absolutely delicious. However, like with Spellbound, it took to the 3rd burn to bloom and come to life. So you can see these are both in the same spot where they started to have strength and throw. So same issue with blooming on this one. I would still repurchase this one. I do really like it. And I would definitely purchase the Pumpkin Beignets like this one as well. And then I left out the Spiral Hill fragrance. However, I'm not going to talk much about this one because this is the one that is going to be reformulated. I will say that I tried it in both my Pooh Bear upstairs and the one back here, and I didn't have much strength or throw with this one. So I'm glad she's reformulating this, and we'll see what the new one is like on August 13th. Last but not least is the Skull Brownie candle. Now this is one that came free. I forget, if you spent a certain amount, you got a free candle, and this was my freebie, the Skull Brownie. If you like raw brownie batter, raw cake batter, that like rich, oily, buttery, eggy cocoa powder, doesn't feel baked to me. It smells like raw batter to me. If you like that vibe, you will like this candle. I almost got like a, I don't think there's anything in here. This almost gave me like cherry cola vibes too. I don't know why. Lately I've been smelling candles and I keep picking up on that cherry cola vibe from Kringle. But I felt like there was a hint of something that almost smelled like a cherry cola or like a root beer in the background. I don't know where that's coming from or if that was just in my head. But very chocolatey. Also, this thing is a beast despite it being a single wick. I did only burn this once and it came to life immediately. This is very strong given its size. I actually had this down here in the kitchen in my open concept, and it was spreading out into the other areas. So normally I would burn this size in the bathroom, and it did exceptionally well in my open concept space. So if you like chocolate and you like that batter kind of smell, I would pick this up as well. All right, y'all, let me know if you have any questions about what I have here. I hope that this helped you to get some insight into some of the scent options and formats that Nicole will have available on August 13th. Let me know if you end up picking anything up. I'd love to hear your experience, or if you have gotten any of these during the halfway to Halloween, or you picked them up last year and you want to share your experience as well. I would really appreciate that, even if it contradicts what I've said here, because I want y'all to have more insight and learn from each other beyond just learning from what I have to say and share with you. If you appreciated this review, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. That always makes me feel good and motivates me to create content. And if you like reviews like this, make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications on so that you know when I'm releasing content. I'll see you tomorrow in my next review. Until then, have a great day. Bye-bye.